This is an interesting place, the Denver International Airport, right next to Stapleton International Airport. There's your Masonic sign. It says New World Airport Commission underneath the Masonic sign. But they have some of this artwork in the airport there. You can see this young girl in a coffin. She has a Bible on one part of her stomach there, and she has one of the stars they used at the Jews there in Germany on the other side. They also use these kind of artwork to decorate that airport. Here's a poem from a 13-year-old boy that was in Auschwitz. Here's the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan person I mentioned with the hammer that I mentioned, the hammer and the sickle. This was given to me, an article by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. It says the airport site, though relatively flat, had to be lowered in some areas and raised in others, requiring the movement of 110 million cubic yards of earth. The vast amount of dirt is approximately one-third the amount of dirt moved during the Panama Canal project. So they obviously have some kind of facility underneath that. My guess is it's a major filtration point. It's a major movement of people. Had I given this presentation in Bosnia or in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, they probably would have laughed at me if I would have told them that somebody is going to be burying his family members out there in this field where they had the Olympics there that year in 1984. I can guarantee you that we're going to have the same thing happen here in America. There are going to be people burying their family members here very shortly. When did they start talking about these prison camps? Zygmunt Brzezinski talked about them since 1968. He elaborated on the prison camps he envisioned for the U.S. Right here, Mikhail Gorbachev, part of his other duties, it says here, in his speech in San Francisco, this is in the Mercury News, in his speech in San Francisco, Gorbachev announced that the foundation is creating a national task force on U.S. military base closings. So he's the one that determines which military bases are to be closed. Under Crime Control Bill in 1994, they have here under Section 2413, conversion of closed military installations into federal prison facilities. So they're closing the facilities, Gorbachev's crew is, then they come in and they convert them into federal prisons. If you don't believe that, here's an article I just picked out of the paper here in October of '96. It says here that the construction still goes on at the bases scheduled to close. So they're continuing to work on these bases. They're continuing to work on the bases, and even though we may wonder why they're doing it, well, they're doing it because Gorbachev closes the bases, they're turning them into prisons, then we're spending our monies to make sure we have these prisons on these military bases. This was by a Department of Education psychiatrist, of Harvard University, Chester Pierce. He says every child in America entering school at the age of 5 is mentally ill because he comes to school with certain allegiances. Allegiances towards his founding fathers, towards his elected officials, towards his parents, towards the belief in a supernatural being, towards the sovereignty of a nation as a separate entity. It's up to you teachers to make all these children well by creating international children of the future. What I wanted to show you was mentally ill. They have a mental health facility in Alaska. It's about 60 miles out of Fairbanks. It's 1 million acres. It holds 2 million people. They don't even have 2 million people in Alaska. This has a spur line that FEMA takes control in case of an emergency. My guess is they'll do some of the same experiments on the people that they did in Nazi Germany or they did in Russia. I don't have time to really tell you about the various lists. These are some of the locations that people go around and try to find these camps. I don't have time to show you the one that I have, nor do I have it set up. But the fact is, the laws are passed that they have these camps. You won't see the major camps. You won't see the ones that are underground. You won't see the ones that are under no-fly zones. They're smart enough to not let you see those things, but they're there. I promise you. If I had time, I could show you why. This was I don't know how many of you saw this video of a camp with a red plate, blue plate, green plate on it within that camp. Well, this was somebody gave me Serge Montenesk's tape on NASA Blue Beam. It talked about what's going to take place in these camps. Again, Lucifer. It's the rainbow. God meant it for that it'll never rain or it'll never destroy the earth by water again that way. They turned it around. That's the bridge from humanity to Lucifer. You'll see a lot of this. It's in the Masonic orders also. They're going to use these different areas, the 7 colors of the rainbow, for very horrible things for our children and for our families. That's their plans anyway. Some of them are death parts, some are human guinea pigs. The same thing we're doing to the unborn children. These babies are being slaughtered before they're born, and they harvest their organs out. They're going to do the same things to the adults. They that give up essential freedoms to tame safety deserve neither freedom nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. Parents want safety, not family values. They don't want any guns. They don't want violence. They don't want schools. They care less about welfare or gay marriages or abortion, it says. Anybody that does care is missing the mark. Again, it's a brainwashing technique. This was Corrie ten Boom that talked about her dad that had just retired from this service over there in Germany. Everybody loved him. She said she couldn't imagine what had happened. Here she says that all the children used to really love him and call him Grandpa. She said she couldn't imagine that this man was thrown by strangers into a grave without a name. And Betsy, with her high lace collar and a gift for making beauty all around her, how could I picture this dearest person on earth to me standing naked before a room full of men? In this room, in that room on that day, such thoughts were not even thinkable. Well, Betsy died. Right here you see some of the naked women in lines over in Germany where they're ready to shave their heads and give their children. I hope and pray the men in this audience do not allow that to happen to their women. I hope they stand up, and I hope they're willing to give their life for their wives rather than allow them to go through those kind of situations. Here, President Clinton said that your vote will decide what kind of future we build. I've done all he can do. Well, he did all he could do. He says, now it's in your corner. Bob Dole said, if you're concerned about America, you better be concerned about what happens tomorrow in the elections all across America. I believe when we said this man was good enough for us for a second term, we basically sentenced it was a death sentence for America for what we've done. The church said that's fine. He's our leader for 4 more years. A picture's worth 1,000 words. All these people, I think I've talked about them a little earlier, Madam Albright, Clinton, and Shelley Kashvili. Here's a memo by a congressman about Bill Clinton. It says, and it bothered me that I read this, but it says the evidence against Bill Clinton is by Congressman Bill Dannemeyer, retired. The evidence against Bill and Hillary Clinton now is irrefutable. It links Bill to drug running, bribery, extortion, murder, cocaine abuse, obstruction of justice, using taxpayer funds for his sexual appetite. This is the man we elected in. I wonder what happened to Senator Gary Hart about 4 years earlier, who he wouldn't let run for the Democratic Convention. He said he prayed about it. He said it's now time to veto the partial birth abortion ban. I don't think he prays to the same God I do. I think he prays to another God. He said, today we can declare the government is not the problem. Other people are the problem. By the end of this decade, 2000, we will live under the first world government that has ever existed in the society of nations. One world government is inevitable. Pope John Paul II. Fascism, what it is I think it's America today. It severely limits a fascist government. The government also controls the newspapers, TV, other means of communication. It issues propaganda and promotes its policies and practices. It says it brings the children under control. The Maastricht Treaty, if you know anything about the Goals 2000 Maastricht Treaty, it has a secret police force that crushes any resistance. Its opposition may lead to imprisonment, torture, or even death. Here's what's behind our old dimes. It's a fascist symbol. All it is a bunch of rods that come together. They're tied together with an axe head. That's a fascist, fasci, they call it, symbol. Here it's on the United States Senate seal, the 2 fascists at the bottom. Here it's at both sides of the House Speaker, the same symbol, fascism. We've got it all over. People, you got to learn what the Freemasons are all about and how tied they are in. Jesus said it's not this world. Here's the United Nations of Religions. Let me show you real quick what they did on September 4th, 1993. The World Parliament of Religions met in Chicago. Approximately 150 of the world's best-known religious leaders met to sign a document called Global Ethics. It tells who the people were. Within this document, you'll find the term not authentically human, the bottom line of tolerance, and who will not be tolerated is anyone who says that God is the only true God is not authentically human. Would it be murder to kill someone who is not authentically human? No, it wouldn't. It isn't murder to kill a baby, an unborn baby. It wasn't murder to kill a Jew in Nazi Germany. Get ready, there's a new world religion coming, if not this year, by next year. When God told Israel disobedience would have severe consequences, you'd lose your daughters and sons, he meant business. And that's exactly what he said in Deuteronomy. When you no longer keep my laws, you're going to stand back and you will not be able to protect your children. The Holy Bible has all the answers. Again, I want to thank you for your patience. I hope you have time to get this word out, hide it in your heart, teach your children, love your wives. I really appreciate your patience and everything that took place tonight. Again, thank you. I really do care about you as I get to know each of you more. I really do love you as I get to know you, and I just pray for each of you. I pray that you pray for myself and my family. God bless you.